What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the College Info Geek Podcast, the internet's best resource for getting ahead as a student, but a terrible resource for learning how to save the napkin industry, because let me tell you, we're over here destroying it with intent.
That's true.
Murderous intent.
Somebody's got to do it.
That napkin industry.
You're using way too many napkins.
Way too many napkins. Babkins. I love it. Anyway, my name is Thomas Frank. I'm here, as always, with my good friend Martin Bamey, and today we're talking about video games.
We are talking about video games again.
But it's not just about video games.
This time it's really about video game design, though.
Yeah, we're talking about game design. So I think both of us came to this conclusion separately at different times, but both of us are well aware of the fact that video games have a way of drawing you in and motivating you to do things that might not be that fun in real life.
Yeah.
Or even that fun in a video game. Like, how fun is it actually to grind an RPG or to try to catch 1,000 Bellsprouts in a Pokemon game?
Yeah.
For some reason. It's not actually that fun, but there are mechanisms there that motivate you to do it and make you kind of want to do it. So clearly, there's a lot of thought that goes into video game design about how to motivate players to do certain things. And we kind of want to talk about some of those game design decisions, some of the different loops that exist in video games, and what we can learn from them and possibly apply to our own lives to get, like real work done.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd mentioned something in one of the previous episodes, and I could never figure out which one it was. I have no idea. But then I was just like, I really want to think about this. And I went out and I got out a notebook. I turned on my Switch. I just started playing like 5 minutes of every game I had. And I was like, why do I like this game? What parts about it seem really dumb if I take it out of context? And yet I still do it. Why did I fight a turtle for 3.5 hours in Final Fantasy?
I still don't know why you did that.
Because I had to.
All I remember is watching a dude on YouTube fighting that same optional boss. And
it's not an option.
About an hour and a half into the fight, the turtle knocks him and his entire party like halfway across the map, which somehow resets the battle.
Well, that's because he did
really
a bad job. I was very careful the whole time.
That's true. Hit him a little bit, hide behind a rock.
Yes,
repeat,
that's basically what I did.
Add
because I
infinitum.
didn't want to start over.
Yeah.
But when I won, though, I felt real good.
What does motivate you to fight a turtle for 3 hours? Or what motivates you to, and this one still evades me, try to get through the first world of Celeste without using the dash function?
Because I'm a winner, Tom.
You literally have to know the exact pixel to hit and hit it perfectly.
Yeah, but I didn't.
So yeah.
I'm a winner.
And
that's why.
Honestly, like the beginning of my YouTube channel was kind of based around this idea. And this goes back further than the YouTube channel. There was a time where, and I think this was maybe 2 years into running College Info Geek, I was still in school. I briefly considered abandoning College Info Geek and starting a new website. I don't like the name that I came up with it, but I was going to call it 8-Bit Hustle, and it was going to be all about productivity lessons from video games. I'm glad I never did it because I don't know if I could actually pull like 10 years of content out of that idea, but I think I can pull a podcast episode's worth of content out of it.
Yeah.
So this is I guess a tribute to a path that I never went down. But I've been thinking about this for a long time because you and I both, we used Habitica for a long time.
Yep.
Which is possibly the most bald-faced real-world attempt to use video game design to motivate people to do things. And in case anybody hasn't heard of Habitica, it's a web app, it's an iPhone app, Android app, everything app that functions as a habit tracker, but has a lot more to it than your typical habit tracker. And as of this recording, we might actually have a habit tracker video out on the YouTube channel now, so I think we should, if I have the schedule right in my head.
Very potentially.
Most habit trackers, you just get a list of habits, you check them off, it'll tell you how many days in a row you've done it. That's it. Habitica gives you a character. And by doing your habits, you gain experience and gold, which you can use to level your character up, buy gear for your character, go on quests. One of my favorite parts about Habitica, and the reason I think it kind of transcends other habit tracking apps, is the fact that when you go on quests, you can do so in a party of other players. And if you fail to do your own habits, you actually will hurt them.
Yeah.
And I remember you texting me like, "Did you get all your habits done last night? Because I woke up with damage."
Yeah,
from the
once
boss."
again, because I'm a winner.
Excuse me.
But yeah, it's motivating you because you don't want to fail your team.
Yeah.
And also because I'm looking here now, my character has a pumpkin for a face, a purple cape thing, and a spider for a pet. It's
That's pretty good.
It's a pretty cool thing.
Well, now I'm curious. I wonder what my character looks like. I think I have a costume on my character because you can give it armor and whatever for stats, but then you can also choose different armor and stuff as a costume. I have a top hat with a feather in it, a pair of steampunk goggles, a brown suit with some cyber futuristic fairy wings, and a gigantic silver sword.
For some reason, thinking about Habitica and drinking this, whichever it was incredibly nostalgic for a second, and I was like, what
That's
am
because
I even...
back in college, we drank a lot of tea and played a lot of Habitica.
Yeah, I loved Habitica. I haven't been using it recently, but like I loved it all the time I used it.
Yeah.
So,
and I might go back to it. I don't know. This habit tracker video has got
me
me interested in trying some new ones, or maybe going back and I don't know. Maybe I should reset. I do have to gloat that I have some weapons that you don't have in the game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you're a cheater.
I'm not really a cheater. There's just special weapons you can get by contributing to the growth of Habitica as a company.
Oh yeah, well I'm gonna donate $10,000.
I mean, if you donate $10,000,
they'll give it to me, right?
Probably
can I have the item?
I think they will give you those items. They'll give you whatever items you want.
Okay, well that's a terrible idea, so I'm not gonna do it.
Depending. Yeah, I don't know how many contributor levels they'd give to you.
For this reason, it's a dumb reason.
But yeah, maybe Habitica would be a good place to start. Because I know you have a lot of notes, right?
So I went through. I had a crazed notebook entry with a bunch of my favorite games, a bunch of other games, a bunch of games you play, with then all like lines and arrows and like, okay, what are the main themes? What are the mechanisms that go across these things that bring things like Super Mario Odyssey and Pokemon together, for example? And I've got it in the same section as DDR, actually. Just overall mechanisms that make us feel good about either repetitive things where you don't get the progress immediately, because that's really where a lot of us end up stuck. It's because it's hard to get good at something, or it's hard to get a project done because you feel like you're not getting anywhere, or it's too big of a challenge. So I
remember feeling like that when I started playing guitar. And then again, when I started messing around with piano back in the day.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm so bad at this that any sound I make, it just sounds really awful.
Yeah.
And it's unmotivating to go on because all I can play is hot cross buns on one string and it just is not inspiring. So, and I think a lot of disciplines have. Well, yeah, hot cross buns is pretty good.
It's a dope
pretty
track.
Fire track. It's on my SoundCloud. I've been ending man's whole career with it.
Yeah.
For years.
Something like that.
Okay, so we'll go through your outline then, and I'll chime in with ideas that I have, and maybe we can come back to Habitica because I'm sure that they've probably thought about a lot of these things.
I do mention Habitica in part of this.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I bet a lot of it really applies because Habitica is just very blatantly accepting the connection between video game design and motivation. So.
Yeah, and if there's anyone out there who's thought about gamification principles, it's the team that builds this app.
Yeah. So. Anyway, after all of my hard research of playing video games with a notebook in front of me and calling it work, the first thing that I found, the large pattern that connects Pokemon and Super Mario Odyssey with DDR, weirdly enough, is visible progress. So in Super Mario Odyssey, for example, you've got all these coins and things that are sometimes hard to find. It's obnoxious. I've walked around for like an hour, unable to find a new one. But the reason
the
it's
coins or the stars?
Are
they stars?
Really both. There are little triangle coin things.
Oh, that's right.
Too.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Well, I don't know if they're a triangle in every level. I don't remember. But basically, these things that you're collecting are motivating because you know when you've collected them. It keeps track. Mm-hmm. If I didn't have a number telling me that I had gotten 60 out of 68, I would not bother looking around and hoping, I wonder if there's maybe another one over here.
Yeah.
That eventually I would just get bored. I'd be like, well, I don't know. Maybe there are countless ones. I don't care. I want to be a completionist. So it's giving you visible progress to an otherwise absurd task because I'm like, do I want to get 200 things? Sure. But if I don't know how many I have left, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And DDR is in this section because it's giving you visible progress for your skill level that you can measure. You can see yourself
'cause you're
getting
like,
better.
Yeah, I'm doing a level 7
You can
song
say, I
past
did this many points higher than last time. Whereas if it was just sort of, if they didn't give you a score or a grade, I think it would be a lot less motivating because you wouldn't really know if you were improving in a concrete fashion. You'd feel
Yeah.
it, but you couldn't point to it and say, I'm getting really good. I just did that song. I failed it 4 times before, and I got this grade.
I can confirm this. When I was in high school, I had DDR for my PS2, and I would go down in my basement for hours trying to get double A's on songs. I learned very quickly that the home pads are not quite good enough, or maybe I'm not quite good enough to ever get a triple A, which is literally every note in the song is perfect.
Wow.
But a double A is, at least back in the PS2 games, it was like you could get 5 to 10 greats, which is like the next accuracy level down, and then you get a double A. So I would just play the song over and over and over again. And when I finally get the double A, take a picture of it with my phone, and there was like this DDR competition ranking site where you could upload pictures of proof of your double A's and triple A's, and
nice.
There was like ranking levels for the best people who had done the songs and things like that. So yeah, can confirm the.
Yeah, imagine if you got no score,
progress.
the song, it just kind of moved on seamlessly to a new song. There wasn't really a proper ending that told you did this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you would feel the same desire to do it. And collecting all the Pokemon would be weird if you didn't know how many there were to collect and how far you were along your path. So basically, to make this work for real life, tracking your progress in an easily measurable way is important. You could track 20-minute time blocks. You could track a simple daily habit. You could track your weight or personal records, like we used to use Fitocracy.
Oh, yep.
Or at least I don't know if you still use it.
I don't use it now, but Fitocracy
for
was also
for like personal records, lifting weights and doing pull-ups and stuff. Like you're getting better than last week.
Fitocracy motivated me so much that I almost died.
Yeah, that's motivation right there. It'll kill you.
There's actually a blog post about this on CIG if we haven't deleted it. I think it's still there.
Yeah, and then like Habitica clearly fits in here along with basically every habit tracker because I did this, because if you don't keep track, it's easy to forget how much you've done or there's no real end point in sight. You can't see the finish line, so it becomes hard to keep running after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I was watching a video by this guy named Paul Davids. He's got this great guitar YouTube channel. And this video is from a couple of years ago, but he basically, I don't know if he wrote this or found it, but he has this really complicated arpeggio. It's probably 16 bars, so it would take like 30 seconds to a minute to play. And he gave himself the challenge to practice 1 hour a day for 7 days. And the eventual goal was to be able to play the arpeggio at 120 beats per minute. So what he did is, when he practiced, he recorded himself practicing, and he started off at a lower BPM with a metronome, I think like maybe 80. So that way, every single day, he can come back, okay, playing it at 80 feels easy now, and I can compare it to my recording from yesterday. Let's bump up to 85, bump up to 90. And within 7 days, he was able to play it.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, where if you just sit down and you didn't have those the trackable steps, it might just be, I'm going to kind of aimlessly repeat this for a while and then maybe get better.
Yeah. And, oh man, metronome for music, it helps so much. The piano that we both own has a built-in metronome tool. So when I bought it, I would just turn the metronome on and come up with either a chord progression or a melody, and then play it at 80, and then again move up and up and up and up until I could play it at like 120, or in some cases 150. It's a good way to get good instruments.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have this. Maybe this is a different point on your outline, but
maybe it's not in any specific order.
Well, not that, but this whole visual indication of progress idea, I think, is a smaller subsection of the idea of feedback loops. So basically, and this is like integral to good learning, and a lot of people know this about teaching and developing curriculums and everything. Getting feedback about your performance is crucial for improving, and also crucial for staying motivated.
Yeah.
So I think this is a big reason why my skill level and also my motivation to keep practicing for figure skating went way up when I got a coach, because she was filming me. She was showing me what I was doing wrong. she would lay out like specific challenges, like, all right, here's a pattern I want you to trace on the ice, or I want you to like stick to the circle on the rink doing this specific move. And with her there watching me, I had feedback.
Yeah, you know how to get better and what direction to go in.
Yeah, and video games, like, this is basically like every video game has this at its core. There's a feedback loop of some sort, where there's a fighting game, learning that, like, oh, if I do this, they block it and they counter me, feedback.
Yeah.
You know? Or an RPG, like, okay, my Pikachu was too low level to fight this gym leader. I better go grind.
Yeah.
You know, you get an indication of what you need to do to progress. All right, what do we have next?
Well, the next one is accomplishment and growth through small wins. So in Zelda or in Celeste, like in Zelda, you have a whole bunch of items. You have like 18 items in some of these games, probably. You have to learn to master all of them. Seems overwhelming at first. In Celeste, if you go look at the seasides on YouTube, they will look impossible. But the game guided me in the right direction to one by one master each jump that made it there. And each time I felt successful when I hit something. Whereas if I had started with the initial goal of hitting the last thing and just went to the last level, there's no way I would have gone through that. That would have been insane. And then games like, actually Minute, which is a really interesting game that I was introduced to by an article our friend wrote on his blog about...
Which friend?
Aaron.
Oh, okay.
So this post actually made me buy this game because I was so interested, and we can link to the post later. But Minute is a game where you're alive for 60 seconds, and there are a whole bunch of puzzles in the world, and you respawn after 60 seconds.
Okay.
You more or less have to start over. So you're forced to deal with only small wins because small wins are literally the only thing you can have in there. You need to plan out what's the next small win. How am I going to accomplish the game through this? Yeah.
Like, there's all these things you can do, but on this life, I literally have 60 seconds. So
you have to pick one thing. And then in Baba Is You, which I can't seem to stop playing.
I really want to play that game.
It is incredible.
Is that on the Switch?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing.
I'm probably going to get that tonight.
Each puzzle feels like it should be, by the time you get to it, within your grasp somehow. But if it was one giant world-sized puzzle, I would not be able to even grasp how to begin.
Yeah.
So basically, all of these incredibly difficult things, in video games, it's intuitive. They start you off doing piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. But when we try to set up goals for ourselves, we're not often that forgiving. It's really easy to just say, I'm going to be super amazingly strong in a month, and not really specify the small steps that make us feel good about ourselves in the meantime. Because if we take too long, we're going to start feeling bad about the fact that we're taking too long.
I think this is a reason why taking classes or getting coaches can be very useful, because coaches understand progression. And a lot of times, like in very established disciplines, a coach knows a specific progression that is not guaranteed to work, but proven.
Like it works over and over.
Yeah, like I've got a whole figure skating training book, and there are literal schedules of things you're supposed to do, and they use these for competitive athletes that go to championships and things like that.
Yeah, so you got to break it down into skills, into pieces. An example I had here was with video game design. If you wanted to make a game where a character walks across a screen and jump, and I've been kind of messing around with video game design, which is doubly, I'm just really interested in the topic right now.
Yeah.
But there are several smaller pieces you need to solve separately. Display a character on the screen, accept controller input, move the character, physics or gravity for jumping, and how to animate the character while it's moving or jumping. These are all separate things. And if I've never done this before, sitting down to make a jumping character is just confusing, and I don't know where to start.
Yeah. But you can go find a tutorial on how to move a character or how to make it show up.
Yeah, and you feel good each time you do one of the small things.
Yeah, I think the video game that comes to mind for me right now as a masterclass in introducing elements gradually and then making you use them all is Guacamelee and Guacamelee 2.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot in that game. It's a Metroidvania. It's got crazy platforming challenges, but it's also got a lot of combat stuff. And, oh boy, there are, I think, 4 different special moves, and then 4 different types of grapples, regular combat, double jumping, dashing in the air, turning into a chicken, in which you have 3 other abilities there.
What a good game.
And I haven't beaten the game yet, but sometimes it'll throw you into a fight where there's like one enemy on the screen who has a shield, and you have to break it by doing a certain move before you can fight them. And then another enemy, you got to break that by doing a different move. And there's moving platforms at the same time and lava. And yeah, if you get thrown into that, which actually I did throw a friend into that because they wanted to play co-op with me and they hadn't done all the previous stuff. They had no idea what to do.
It all sounds overwhelming when you look at it from that like angle without having gone piece by piece.
But the game gradually gets you there. When you get the double jump, there's like a special chamber you can't get out of until you master the double jump because you got to use it.
Yeah.
And literally every ability in the game has this gradual, like it'll make you use the floating chicken move really easily at first. And then there's a slightly harder one until like, I don't know, 3 chambers later, you have that move down pat.
Yeah.
Now it's like, all right, cool. We're going to make you do the floating chicken move and then turn into a human and grab onto this grappling hook.
Eventually, you don't even think about it.
It becomes second nature. You know? And so this is a good point to bring up because I know, like, as a musician, I've had times where I've listened to a song and I'm like, all right, I can break this song down in my head. I should be able to sit there and learn to play the song, which it never works because the song has so many different overlapping techniques that the artist has mastered, but you haven't mastered any of them. So your conscious mind is trying to exert this conscious control on each element at the same time. And that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Your conscious mind is like, it's like what are they called? Like the data lines between RAM and the CPU in a computer. Like it can only throughput a certain amount of information at a time. So you got to have a bunch of other stuff basically just running in the background.
Yeah.
This week's episode is sponsored by Skillshare, which is an awesome platform for improving your skills and abilities in a ton of different areas. They have over 27,000 different courses, ranging from courses on, game design, actually. That's one of them. In fact, they have a Unity game design course that I'm going to talk a little bit about in just a second, but they also have courses on marketing, data and analytics, on graphic design, on After Effects animation, video editing, all kinds of different stuff. So if you want to start improving your skills in basically any area that you can think of, but also become possibly more employable in your career field as well, then Skillshare is an awesome resource to start using. And like I said before, they do have courses on game design, which I thought would be fitting to recommend since we are talking about lessons from video game design in this episode. And I know that you've dabbled a little bit in Unity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you've done Unity game design, and then you're working with Pico 8, which is a little bit simpler.
It's a little smaller indie thing.
I think a little simpler would be a bit of an understatement since you literally cannot make anything outside of Pico 8. Like you have to make everything in it, right?
There are workarounds, but yeah, it's deliberately simplified.
Okay. Well, I know for Unity at least there is more than one course actually, but there's one course that's just called Make Games from Scratch by a guy named Brandon Wu. And if you are interested in learning game design, that would be a great place to start. He's even got a section of it that requires no code whatsoever. So you could start there and then get into some of the more complicated stuff if you find that it's something that you do want to do. Also, I have to mention this every time I do a Skillshare ad, I have a course on Skillshare. It's called a Productivity Masterclass, creating a custom system that works, and it goes over the creation of a whole productivity system, including your to-do list, your calendar, your email processing system, your file management system, your note-taking system, all those things. So if you want to make sure that you are set up and organized for the summer, if you're taking summer classes or trying to be productive during the summer or next semester or whenever you're listening to this, that would be a great class to start with. Now, a subscription to Skillshare is very affordable, starting at less than $10 a month. But if you do want to get started for free, you can actually do that by getting a 2-month free trial with unlimited learning on the platform. And you can get that by being one of the first 500 people to go over to Skillshare.com/geek and sign up. Once again, that is Skillshare.com/geek to get yourself a 2-month free trial of unlimited learning. You can take that entire Unity game design course. You can take my course, all kinds of courses, and you can learn a lot in 2 months. So definitely do that. And big thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode and being a supporter of our show. Let's get back into it. All right, what's next?
The next one, to keep you motivated, is novelty. So the same things in Zelda and Celeste, for example, that keep you from feeling overwhelmed, they're also there to keep you interested because you're basically doing the same exact thing over and over and over and over again, but with slight changes. They're like, well, in this level, it's windy.
Mm-hmm.
In this level, there's a guy in a hotel. Why not? This is, in each Mario level's like, it looks different. Now it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Now it's a water level. Imagine the first Mario game as long as the first Mario game, but only with the world ever looking like the first one. It would be a lot more boring.
Yeah.
And it would be less motivating to get through to the end because you need a little novelty, even if you're doing basically the same thing. And I think this is really interesting because a lot of things we have to do in real life are monotonous.
Yep.
So this is why I have my semi-monthly habit goal system, because even though I do a lot of the same things, I like to just tweak them a little bit to keep me interested, to make it feel fresh. Every few weeks, I feel like things are just refreshed and I get to start over. A lot of it stays similar because I'm still exercising basically every time, and it's more or less the same exercises, but maybe this time I've just changed it a little bit and changed my surrounding or what time of the day I do something. And yeah, basically, you got to figure out how to keep your life interesting because monotony is not fun. And it seems borderline inevitable in adult life if you don't intentionally do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is, like, there's no game designer who's just giving you challenges. There is one in school.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
once
they're
school
telling
ends,
you what to
they're
do.
basically just like, all right, well, you're the game designer of your own life now. And, like, you can put in a low amount of effort and go get a job where they will just happily let you do the same thing all the time. But if you don't want that, you got to put in a bit more effort.
You have the definite freedom to literally do the same exact thing every day.
Yeah.
And you will grow bored of that. But you're the only person who can fix it. So, see, I like these because a lot of these are, they're things that we've either talked about before in some other context or we've heard them before. But a lot of it feels different.
Yeah.
When presented through the right analogy to me, because it's like, oh, wait, it's obvious that they do this. That's why I fight a turtle for 3.5 hours. How can I fight a real life turtle for well, not a real life and a metaphorical turtle?
I mean, I could go.
First
get
of
a
all,
turtle from
I'm
the pet
not gonna
store.
fight a turtle in real life. Second of all, I would hope that if I did, it didn't take 3.5 hours.
I think the only turtle worth
The
fighting
turtle
is
should
the
beat
one
me
that
faster than
does
that.
take 3 hours.
It's a really strong turtle.
Fighting like the world's biggest tortoise.
Yeah.
So one thing that keeps coming to mind here for novelty, also for visual indications of progression, is my climbing gym. Because, going to the gym and lifting weights, you can get indications of progress, but they're pretty narrow in scope. I lifted more weight this time. I write that down in my notebook. That can be motivating. But the climbing gym, not only are there, dozens of different routes in the gym and they're labeled with difficulty. So today I was able to do a 511 minus route, which I have done a 511 in the past, but the only time I did it, I had to take a lot of breaks and sit there and have the rope support me. Today I did the 511 minus with no breaks, no rope support, just up it. So in my mind, it was a great indication of actual progress. But also, every few weeks, they take an entire wall's worth of routes down and redo it.
Just entirely.
Yeah. So I
That's
could go to
cool.
that gym for years, and I'm never going to get bored because they're always making new routes that make you do different things. Like right now, they put up this fun route in the bouldering section where you have to weirdly balance yourself on one foot on this weird ledge thing and then wrap your leg around the corner to do the next move. Next week there's going to be something else there that has a totally different kind of move. Maybe it's a totally crimp based move and I have to train finger strength for that one. And yeah,
It's a really interesting setting where it basically is just real life game design.
it is. Yeah.
That's cool.
And they also sometimes have challenges.
Because like you said, it's different than lifting weights where it's I can change the number, but the technique is still, hopefully if I have good technique, I'll just keep doing good technique.
Yeah. And I mean, you can, this might be a common criticism of our point here because you can easily design a different weightlifting program. All right, today I'm going to do high rep, or today, I've been doing a lot of barbell squat. Let's do pistol squats. That's one leg. That's adding variety into it. And that's true. But I think something that games do really well is that they present you with novelty. You don't have to seek it out too hard.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really nice about the climbing gym. All I got to do is show up, and there's probably going to be something new to try.
Yeah, that's really cool
the harder
that they
you
do
have
that.
to work to create your own novelty, the more you're not going to want to do it. So if you can find something that offers novelty quite often, like climbing or like skateboarding, something like that, then you'll have more fun. Yeah. So what's the next one?
The next one is story and or vicarious living. So this is part of why I fight a turtle for 3.5 hours. Basically, because you're acting out a story in these games, your actions are given meaning beyond the surface level. You're not just fighting a bunch of small boars or grinding for 3 hours for no reason. You're doing it because you're the hero and you're supposed to do this. And as the hero, I was supposed to get every single achievement in a Final Fantasy 15.
That is what the people of that country needed you to do.
And they wanted me to not save them while I messed around doing optional stuff because I'm a complete hero. I'm not an essentialist hero. I don't just do the important things. I do everything. And so I think that this is really interesting because we're living vicariously through these characters. And in real life, we don't always take the time to establish why exactly we're doing what we're doing. The motivation isn't necessarily as high as I'm literally saving the world.
Yeah.
Or I'm saving the princess for 17 billionth time from Bowser, who really needs to get a better hobby. And in real life, you need to know who do you want to be or what kind of person does the things you want to do because you're not given that role automatically.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you have to have a reason. And again, this is the, I guess, sad thing about real life is there's not some cool mission being given to you.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to decide for yourself. And usually it's not as interesting as saving an entire kingdom.
There aren't as many options out there for that kind of a thing, but we're a product of the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. So we need to have compelling stories or else we're, I'm not the kind of person who binge eats Oreos is not compelling because it's a negative story I'm telling myself, but if I'm a healthy person, that's a story that means something more than just not allowing me to do something.
Well, maybe the story can come out in a larger overall goal. Because we talked about small wins, and every game gives you small wins, but most games also have like an overarching story or overarching, big mission that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And if you can just crystallize in your mind what a big mission for you might be, that might be your story.
Yeah, what's the meaning behind the small thing? What do they add up to?
Mm-hmm. Like why do you play music all the time? Maybe you just do it because it's fun, but I think there might be something more to it because you're like recording little melodies that you create and you're writing songs and I don't know. For me, like I have a specific place that I would like to play someday. And I'm like, cool, well, I can't, that's not a small win because I'm not yet good enough for them to accept me as like an artist and bill me, but someday.
Yeah. I mostly play piano at this point because I just want to completely surpass anything I could ever do before I injured my hand and then broke my finger. Just because.
Yeah, so
and maybe I'll write an album, but it's more of a Phoenix type of story.
Yeah. Or for language learning, like I know you want to travel to other countries and speak with native speakers at their level. That's like a big goal. That's not a small win.
No, that's not a small win. That's overwhelming
or something. But it is a cool story that you're sort of in the middle of.
Yeah.
So
the next thing is competition and or cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
They're seemingly opposite, but they're grouped together here because they're both a social obligation that keeps you going. So if you want to win at fighting games, you better keep playing them or you're going to fall behind the crowd and then you're going to suck forever.
Bored of it.
Yeah, and then you won't want to play with your friends anymore because you're just bored and it's not fun anymore and you don't care, even though it's mostly because if you get at this point, even if we're just playing with friends and one person's winning too often, it stops becoming a game and then no one cares. So you have to keep up.
Yeah.
If you want to keep playing, you have to keep at their level. Otherwise, it's not a game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is also the thing that keeps me from wanting to play WoW because I do not want the pressure to keep up with everybody in order to keep being useful to them.
Yep.
Because they're playing when I'm doing something else and I come back and they're like, hey, you suck now. You can't even help us beat this boss. I don't want that. However, that is the obligation that made me love Monster Hunter because I was playing with our friends back in Iowa, and then I would just like play it all night long, and like I'm gonna be able to help them fight this tomorrow because I'm gonna be like 17 levels above them, and that's how I'm gonna help.
Yeah. By
being ultra powerful and able to tell them how this works, and it made me want to, but I don't want to feel beholden to a bunch of internet strangers. So WoW doesn't work the same as Monster Hunter for me.
Mm-hmm. But for some people, it does.
Yeah.
Or, for like another example, Overwatch. I know people who have like groups of friends and they'll do a competitive season together. And
you probably know them.
You got to practice being
degree.
the tank because that's your role in the group.
Yeah, you have a community purpose. Mm-hmm. This is also the Habitica parties.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do your task, your party loses health. You're betraying your party a little bit by hurting them.
And I actually think that's the most genius part of Habitica.
Yeah.
Like all the experience and mounts and gear you can buy, that's cool. But the quests with the party system, that is genius.
It's great. I'm not actually sure of another way that captures it so well because not only is it public accountability in that they're like, hey, we know you didn't do your thing.
Yeah.
And we're disappointed in you. You're also hurting them.
Yeah, they literally...
and I don't know of any other systems that, I wouldn't recommend building a beeminder that steals your friends' monies when you fail.
I was trying to pay my rent, but this guy that I'm in a party with didn't do push-ups yesterday, so that's why I couldn't pay my rent.
That would backfire horribly. But in Habitica, it's a relatively safe way to use this kind of motivation.
Yeah. So there's a new app, and this is going to most likely be in... I gotta decide if I want to click this button or not. I'm gonna hit don't allow. There's a new app called Habify. I haven't checked it out yet, but it may end up in my Habit Trackers video. And it is not super gamified like Habitica, but it does have the collaborative feature. So you can get in a group with somebody, and then you can see their progress bar and your progress bar.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I need to look more into it to see exactly
how it works. Like next to each other? For the same habit?
Yeah.
So you can compete?
Let me pull up the page in the App Store because it wants me to go through a tutorial.
That would be pretty cool if you were like, hey, you're not going to overcome me. I'm going to do this tonight so that my line doesn't look worse than yours.
Here we go. So I don't know if it's a progress bar. Maybe it's like a 30-day challenge because I'm seeing percentages on here.
Okay.
So I need to look into it after we finish this podcast.
That's cool that you can see how everybody's doing because
you can poke them too.
Oh.
Like I see the little poke icon next to the person who hasn't been doing it. I wonder if that sends them a reminder or like an email or a
that would be cool. That's really cool because often it's hard to... Accountability seems cool, and it's a good idea to set it up, but it's often hard to actually make it real because I don't know, for example, right now, if you're reading every night or something.
Yeah.
So if you set up a challenge for that, it's completely on the honor system. I have no idea.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, because even the Habitica thing, it doesn't... Like, you can't go in and see your friend's progress, right? I can delete a habit out of there.
You know that something happened. You don't know exactly what happened.
That's true. I feel like, didn't Coach.me's habit tracker also have some sort of collaborative feature?
I never used that one, so I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? Now that I thought about that, because I literally forgot to write Coach.me down on my list of potential habit trackers. So let me add that real quick, and while I'm doing that, why don't we move to the next one?
All right, the next one here is self-expression or customization. So Animal Crossing is almost entirely about this, and somehow it gets you to pay bills and run errands.
Be in debt.
And you literally pay off your home loan over and over, and it feels so cool every time.
Yeah, I guess like the greatest indication that there's something to video game design elements is that there's these games out there where you just work.
Yeah,
Harvest Moon, you farm. Farm Simulator, same thing. Truck Simulator, like people love sitting down with like a steering wheel on their desk and pretending to be a trucker for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
There's something to it.
But Pokemon is similar. It's because you're building a team. You're building your team. What are your favorites? One of mine is Mr. Mime, and if you don't like him, it's because you don't understand that sometimes weird, creepy things are awesome.
It's true.
Sometimes a jester clown thing is the best. But you're expressing your individuality, and even if it's just to yourself, that's still really important. I feel very much like myself.
Yeah.
If I have a day where I've spoken a foreign language to somebody, I've had some time for piano, I've gone for a walk, I've read a little bit, I feel like me. And it feels great to feel like I'm fully being myself in my real life. So we've got to find the stuff, like either creative hobbies or just finding a way to do the things that you love the most so that you remember who you are and who you want to be.
I think self-expression is probably one of the biggest motivators for me personally. I was talking with some friends about this the other day. I know that you like to play other people's songs. Like, you make your own stuff up, but you also really enjoy, like, learning the Over the Garden Wall intro or learning Zelda stuff.
I do tend to learn at least the first fourth of them.
Yeah, and then maybe you move on.
However, I did finally finish an entire piece this morning.
Yeah. And on the other hand, I find it very, very difficult to summon the motivation to try learning someone else's song. Just like, I am so much more interested in playing my own stuff. And I'll analyze a song and find a technique in there and like go mess with it myself. Like, oh, Jimi Hendrix is using a lot of like string bending and stuff. Okay, let me go try that. But I don't play Jimi Hendrix riffs while doing it. I'll play my own riff and like add in string bends or add in the tremolo bar or something like that. And yeah, I think that's like, it's just this desire for self-expression.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was when I was writing my album. So I was like, I don't care about it. That's why I sucked at music theory for so long too, was because I refused to learn reading really much, because I was like, I'm not reading my own music, so I don't care.
Yeah, and this isn't to say that it's useless to learn other people's songs. Like, we had a whole big argument about this in one of my Slack groups, and my friend Dave was just like, no, you need to learn other people's songs because that's how you add more tools to your musical toolbox. And I was wondering, like, are there artists out there who never learned other people's songs? What got me thinking about this was I was reading an interview with Tosh Sultana, and she mentioned that she never plays other people's songs. Now, I don't know if that means she has never played people's songs and purely learned all of her instrument skill just making stuff up, or did she learn by playing other people's songs and then kind of graduate to her own stuff? I don't know.
So sometimes I'll just take one little thing like from a thing. In fact, the one main song that I've written this year entirely came from a technique I learned in another song, and I was like, well, what if I did it this way? And then it turned into a 3-minute song with a whole bunch of different parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, clearly, if you go and learn someone else's song, you do get more tools for your musical toolbox. But yeah, it just got me thinking about that self-expression motivator.
Yeah,
for sure. And that's why Magic the Gathering is my favorite board game / card game, because it is...
my deck had a story and I loved it.
It's like the ultimate self-expressive game. You get to choose every single card in your deck. It is purely what you want in there.
Yeah, what a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I even excluded really good cards because it was my story and it was going to be how I wanted, even if this card would make me win far more often.
Yeah, well, I mean, winning isn't even that great in Magic.
It's only good if I win. I want to win in the way I want to win.
Yeah. Like, you could, I do an infinite combo and I win. That's not fun. No, but if I get to, construct my ridiculous machine where I'm invincible and then I draw it out for 3 turns, like, that's great. Or in your case, if you win through peace.
I do win through peace.
So, yeah, self-expression. All right, what's next?
Discovery and exploration. Okay. And or immersion or escapism. So, like Breath of the Wild and Skyrim.
Oh, man.
And potentially trucker simulation games.
Possibly truck simulator as well.
Breath of the Wild. I've not been into them.
Absolutely the top game for this in my head.
It's completely exploration. I would pick it up. I would turn it on. I would just pick a spot on the map, any spot. I was just like, I haven't gone there. Then I'd just go there, and I'd do everything on the way for literally no reason, just to explore.
And sometimes you don't even go to where you were going to go, because you're like, what is that over there? And you, I don't know, end up finding some hidden temple. You just go wherever
it's like completely in the moment exploration. It's tons of novelty in every direction. And I think that this is one of the coolest things for me in a game, because it's not about a specific goal. And in real life, I think this can be very useful. For example, you mentioned in something recently. So if you wanted to run, a treadmill would be a terrible place to be if you liked exploration and discovery.
Yep.
You could be running on a brand new trail or mapping out a new bike path and finding something new, and that's really going to be motivating. Whereas if I have to run on a treadmill, I'm not going to. I'm not even going to turn the treadmill. I will just never run again in my life. That's what will happen.
Yeah, it's boring.
But I'll rollerblade 14 miles around, an Iowa town, which we did.
Actually, so rollerblading is a different story, because I literally
rollerblading is also extra fun.
Like, rollerblading is just super fun, and as a figure skater, I can do fun things on rollerblades, like going backwards and things like that. So that's fun. Riding my bike, I don't find the act of simply sitting on the bike and pedaling the wheels to be inherently fun in the moment. Like, you're just going straight. It's more enjoyable than running, but it's not rollerblading. It's not skateboarding in a skate park. So actually, now that we're doing this episode, I'm thinking about this. The way that I motivate myself to cycle so many miles, it's like all game design. Discovery and exploration. I sit down, I bring up Google Maps, and I'll be like, you know where I haven't been? Here. And I can see green bicycle route lines. Let me construct like a rough route in my head and try to get there. Or like, could I bike to Boulder from Denver? Oh, I can. Let's try it. So it's like pure exploration and discovery. And then also I use Strava, which tracks not only how far you ride, but basically every possible stat. It tracks your speed, elevation, possibly a heart rate if you get a heart rate monitor. I don't have that, but you could track that. And there's competition. I have like a little mount for my phone on my bike, so I'll put it right there, and sometimes I have the screen on. And if you have the screen on, often you'll get into a segment, and it'll tell you like, oh, your current time has you on track to be number 3 in this segment for today. And then I'll be like, oh, well, okay, I'm going to speed up and try to beat the top person. And then once you finish your ride, you can see for every single segment you did where you rank. For like men and women, today, this week, all time. There's so many stats. Strava's a video game.
That does sound like you basically turned biking into a video game.
Absolutely.
Every form of motivation. Well,
Now,
you need
mountain biking,
a little
I'll
more
just go do.
self-expression. I need you to put a bunch of like cool stickers all over your bike.
Stickers on my bike. I could do that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I could just like, that might be a
big flag that says, "This is me."
Okay, I just came up with a fun idea. Like, Denver has a zillion breweries, and usually they have stickers. So I could do like bike brewery mission this summer to cover my bike in stickers.
See, that's cool. Now you've got achievements too. You can track your progress with the collectibles that are also a form of self-expression and
Yeah.
That's the perfect video game bike trip.
And I could also make sure I don't get too fit.
Yeah, that's because then where are your goals now? You're at perfect fitness. You got to keep yourself down so you have easy room to grow.
I think that's why bikers love breweries so much, because they don't want to get too fit, right? They don't want to make all their friends feel bad about themselves.
Well, that's mean.
I don't know what it is, but yeah, cycling culture just has like this very tight intersection with like hipster coffee and with microbreweries. I don't know what it is. Like, you become a cyclist and all of a sudden you become very snobby about your beer and your coffee.
I don't know, man.
I don't understand.
I'll ride my bike more after moving. Maybe I will suddenly become an aficionado of both.
Maybe you will. I don't know. But also, when you move, you'll be able to rollerblade more.
Yes, I'll be able to do
inherently fun.
Lots of things. I love rollerblading.
Yeah, it's great. All right, do we have any more?
There's one more. And it is games that are easy to start and or they're just boredom killers. Yes. So games like Tetris or Picross, they've got the little challenge. You know, there's the challenge of the puzzles, but it's also that I can just say, oh, look, the PS4 is downloading a 15 million year update for the 9th time today.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just turn on Picross in 4 seconds and start this puzzle immediately.
And I don't even think it's about how fast you get into the game itself. I think it's how fast you get into the core loop of the game. So I remember, Quentin would ask me this all the time. Tom, I do not understand how you can spend 130 hours playing Enter the Gungeon or 60 hours playing Celeste or, whatever stupid mobile game that I hate on your phone, but you won't spend 10 or 20 hours playing this cool RPG I want you to play. Or you won't spend 30 hours on Dark Souls or something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, I think the reason for this is because with Celeste, you boot the game up and you're in the core loop of the gameplay basically immediately. Like, I'm platforming. Whereas with a lot of big story-driven games, maybe it only takes 20 hours to play it, but when I boot it up each time, I don't know, maybe I'm in the middle of a dialogue loop that I have to get through before I can actually play it.
You really got to be into the story for most. Yeah. Like JRPG gameplay isn't, where it's at, so it makes perfect sense.
And yeah, so my brain tells me like I really want what I want a hit of right now is like flying up in the air and using the rocket launcher in Overwatch. I know I can do that right away. All I got to do is boot the game up, hit quick play. It'll get me to a match in probably 30 seconds, and I'll be doing that. Yeah. Whereas if it's a game like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy or something, I guess number one, I don't really know what the fun part of the core loop is. I think it's a lot of like external systems that motivate you to play it. maybe you think the battle system is super fun, but
in
like
Final
to get
Fantasy
into a battle
15 in particular,
where
yes.
where I say it, I'm in a town, so I gotta like wait through all the Square Enix loading screens and load my game, and then like I'm in the town, so I gotta drive out to a place and find a battle.
Yeah, you're stuck in this story part in this building. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to leave the building yet until you finish this thing.
Yeah.
You can't just go do whatever you want. You got to finish the story part first.
And it's like the same thing in real life. Oh, my guitar's right there. Let me just pick it up and play. And this is why I play my crappy guitar all the time, and I hardly ever play my super expensive guitar. Because my super expensive guitar is upstairs. It's actually right over there, in a case with a humidifier in it. So I got to open the case, take the humidifier out, then take it out.
Yeah. So basically, this is like one. It's more or less if you could build the 20-second rule into real life, where it takes less than 20 seconds to get started on what you want, but also try to maybe long term cut out the pieces in front of it that just aren't fun. 20-second rule, not only to the thing you like, but to the part you like about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the core loop.
Yeah.
This is why I have all that gear sitting in the living room right now. So I love to make music, but when I did the Fender sponsorship and I said I'm going to write a song and like literally make it, it was like a lot of friction was involved, because I'm like, all right, I got to lay down a drum beat. That's the first thing. And then I got to make a new track and like come up with something to put on that. And it's a lot slower, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas hooking up a drum sampler, a guitar, and a piano to a loop pedal, all I got to do is like turn a few things on. That takes about 10 seconds. It's sitting in the living room, so I see it immediately when I walk in. Same concept as the guitar sitting on the guitar stand, just a little more complex. And, I can tap out a drum beat that's like 4 bars, pick the guitar up, throw something down on that, and like, actually, this sounds pretty cool. And like you get into the core loop of making music, and you're inspired, instead of trying to manufacture one track and then move on to the next one.
You keep getting interrupted in what you're trying to do. This is kind of like if you really liked driving, this is not only do you set it up so that it's there's nothing in the way of your car, you don't have to move a bunch of garage stuff that's in the way. It's easy to get to the car, but also you plan a route that avoids most red lights so that you don't have to keep stopping the driving over and over and over and over.
Yeah, so find a way to get into it as quickly as possible, into the core loop of the thing, and then make it as fun as you can, I guess.
Yeah.
Or as seamless or as frictionless as you can.
Yeah, frictionless seems good to me.
Yeah.
And like obviously this isn't even going to be every lesson about video games, because obviously sometimes they're just fun, but but that's not helpful if you're trying to figure out how to get yourself through something difficult or less motivating.
Yeah, and all these elements make it more fun.
Yeah,
right?
you're turning it fun.
I find it fun to play as Farah and shoot rockets down at stuff, but I don't find it fun to go into the training exercise area and do it to just robots that are stationary.
Yeah.
It's more fun when you're competing against another team.
Yeah.
And when you have your own team that's backing you up and you can do all these kinds of combo plays and things like that. Like all these elements come in and make things more fun. Like Celeste is fun, right? But if
I love
if
Celeste so
was
much.
just the first world, like every level in the game, you use the same skin as the first world, the same music,
The
and no
variety
story, right?
kept me going.
Yeah, you have
I don't
the
even
story.
play platforming games.
Yeah, the story in that game is fantastic. The music changes. You have these like, oh, this is a new place. Like this is awesome. I get to explore. There's a new track.
Yeah, you're exploring. There's the small wins. There's a story. It's got everything, because I don't play Super Meat Boy, which is basically if you stripped most of it down and made it just a good platformer.
So I think if you have a goal, approach it like a game designer.
Yeah, and specifically to the ones you like. Not everybody plays Animal Crossing, but they should, because it's great. But
maybe you don't want to put a bunch of stickers on your bike or something, but what motivates you to play the kind of games you like to play, and how can you build that into your life?
Yeah, and if this isn't just with video games, think of any situation in life where somehow you are properly motivated to do something that, taken out of context, seems boring.
Yeah.
As soon as you can figure out what gets you through something that other people might find boring, you can use it to help yourself through more things.
I mean, simplest example I can think of, when I was a little kid, I hated cleaning up my room, but sometimes my mom would be like, all right, whichever one of you cleans up your room faster, gets more dessert or something like that, or just wins.
So you just throw all your stuff into your brother's room, right? Yeah.
Well, that's a cheat code. That's like
he's got twice
Shark.
the mess. My room's clean. I'm a minimalist now. I was just doing the KonMari method.
Or maybe it's like we have a shared mess, like we're all playing with Legos in the living room, and she's like, all right, whoever cleans up the most Legos wins. You know, just like a little bit of competition makes it so much more fun.
Yeah. Something's got to get you through the things because not every moment of life is by default really fun.
Yeah. Nope. There's a lot of really boring moments. Now, how can I gamify my sleep? Because I don't like sleep.
Well, we're going to exploration. We're going to put you in the back of a car while you sleep, and you're going to wake up who knows where. And every day, you're going to be like, whoa, what's this? How did I get here?
In a more scared tone of voice.
Yeah.
I didn't actually want to wake up here. This isn't a good neighborhood.
This is a lot less exciting than I thought it was going to be.
I'm just
well, it's
disoriented,
exciting, but it's the wrong kind.
Yeah. All right. So what is that? 9 points?
I think so. 1, 2, 3,
we got
4,
our 9
5,
points.
6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 points.
Boom. So yeah, game design. I think a good piece of homework for this would be to go out and play your favorite video game for a while, and maybe see like what elements is this game using out of the ones we listed, or maybe other ones.
Yeah.
And then how could I apply some of these to that other thing I want to do?
That's why I use habit trackers, because I love games like Pokemon or Mario Odyssey where you're collecting all the things. I'm very motivated by visible progress and collections and things. Yeah. So check boxes become my collection.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, maybe for certain people there are motivators that are really powerful for them, and then motivators that aren't. So, maybe for a certain person, it's the discovery and the self-expression that really matters more to them than checking off a bunch of boxes and seeing visual progress.
Yeah.
But I know for a person like my mom, the visual progress would be huge. That's like the main thing.
Get her on Habitica.
Probably should. I should be in a party with my mom.
She'll be the most powerful of us all.
We need to fight this dragon. Go to the gym. All right. What is this? Episode 265?
I didn't write it down. So
I did. It's in Notion.
Okay, good.
We got that useful Notion set up.
Good work, son, Dad.
Which we'll have a Notion video coming pretty soon. People have been asking for it. I want to make it good.
Yeah.
And they came up with that template sharing option fairly recently, so I'm going to make some templates and share them with people. Anywho, CIGpodcasts.com is where you can go to make sure you're subscribed to this show if you haven't done so already. If you're watching on YouTube every week, or you're just listening to it in the web browser, I guess if you're doing that, you probably know where the podcast website is. But you can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, Spotify, any podcast app that you want. You can probably find our show on there and subscribe to it so you get new episodes delivered to the device of your choice every single Monday when they come out. And you can also go to cigpodcast.com/265 to find the show notes for this episode. Probably link to some video games, things like that. Definitely link to Habitica.
Yep.
That's a cool thing to try out. And if we have that habit tracking video up by then, we'll also be linking to that as well. So thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you want to find our favorite resources, our favorite apps, gear, and other tools that can help you improve your life as a student, then go over to collegeinfogeek.com/resources. You'll also find our list of essential books over there for students and our college packing guide. And if you want to support this show, you can either share it with a friend. You can maybe go to a mountaintop and shout out the URL to subscribe.
Put a QR code up there.
QR code.
Don't do that. That's vandalism.
If you put a QR code on the Hollywood sign, don't do that. That's extra vandalism.
And it's going to be linked to us, so don't.
Honestly, though, what criminal would incriminate themselves at the scene?
Well, yeah, I think we'll have a good defense, but it'll be annoying.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm going to put up a QR code to a podcast, I'm going to make it to
IDidit.com.
Oh, this competitor did it. And clearly they did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't someone trying to sabotage them at all. So anyway, I think that's about it. Oh, you can also give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. That's another great way to support the show. Got to mention that. And now that I've mentioned that, I think that's about it. So thanks for hanging out with us. Hopefully you find something useful in this episode. And we will see you in the next one. Stay cute.
A lot of stuff rhymes with it.
I'm feeling cruddy.
No, this isn't funny, Mr. McGillicuddy. I'm allergic to silly putty. Don't put it in my tummy. Wait, this is yummy.
That's a weird rap.